Welcome to the Get Back, music work talk in Central Texas, Fridays at 1 p.m. Brought to you by the Austin Federation of Musicians and with the Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee. The Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee are members of the Austin Federation of Musicians, Local 433 of the American Federation of Musicians, aka the Musicians Union. Some of us work as contractor 1099 workers, and others work as employee W-2 workers in various aspects of the music industry.
The goal of this session is to share our experiences, including trials and tribulations related to the Texas Workforce Commission, or TWC, with other musicians in the state of Texas to aid in navigating the TWC application process. We are not experts in unemployment assistance. We are musicians.
The information contained herein does not constitute either legal advice or an official pronouncement or a position of the Austin Federation of Musicians, but rather is only the personal opinions of the panelists. The panelists do not give legal advice or make official rulings on agency matters, should not be cited as authorities in any matter before the agency or when dealing with agency staff about a case, and must minimize their involvement with administrative processes. They also do not give legal advice on any other matter, and any information they should give should not be used as a basis for taking any employment-related action. Before taking any employment action that could adversely affect an employee, or before using any sample form or policy you may obtain from this group, you should consult a licensed, private sector, employment law attorney of your choice. All right, welcome back. This is the Get Back for October 29th, 2021. It's their last day of early voting, and Mark is with me today. Hello. And I'm Aaron. Yeah, man. Well, we always start with the websites at the bottom, the links. That's how you get a hold of the union. You can get a hold of us for the show. And then we always move on to beverages. I'm doing coffee again. What are you drinking there, Mark?
I got my old green tea going here.
Oh, excellent. I think that's a new cup, though. I don't know if I've seen that cup.
Maybe so.
Yeah, that's nice. I like it. Yeah. Right on, man. Well, there's not a lot to cover today that we were finding, but we wanted to make sure we covered the our brothers and sisters in San Antonio. For sure, they're having a rally today at 6:30, which is kind of just after rush hour downtown. And I guess let me check that real quick. Have you heard anything about that, Mark?
Well, no. I've talked to a few friends of mine, and actually somebody asked me, and I didn't have an answer to this question. Is there a way that we can send a message to the striking union people in San Antonio?
Oh, absolutely.
You know? Yeah. Because somebody asked me, and I didn't know how to do that. How would we do that?
Well, they have I'm glad you said that. Yeah, there's obviously there's a Facebook event for the rally tonight.
Right.
From their Facebook page. So it's the Facebook page is the Musicians of the San Antonio Symphony. So it's a separate webpage from the San Antonio Symphony itself, of course. So you can follow that page, and you can send a message there and repost what they're posting, to your network as well. But then they also have a website, which is just it's the acronym of Musicians of the San Antonio Symphony, so MOSAS.org, and they have a link there where you can make a donation by PayPal. They don't have T-shirts yet, but I think they're working on T-shirts maybe, because that would be cool. When the musicians went on strike in Baltimore a couple of years ago, they had really cool T-shirts. So, and they sold a lot of them across the country. As far as other ways to send a message, it's possible to go and attend those rallies. They're going to be more and more public as time goes on. Hopefully, it won't be necessary to go too much longer. But is that kind of what you meant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just looked it up you can go on Facebook to that. They have a Facebook page, Musicians of the San Antonio Symphony. Mm-hmm. And you can send a message to them. Yeah. Or you can also make a donation there too, I think. So.
Yeah, so it's good stuff, man. I was just checking the time. Yeah, and it is today at 6:30 down there, which is right after rush hour. But it will be effective. I think they've got a lot of other unions down there that are involved with them marching, and other musicians. I believe we've got some musicians going down from Austin. If you're a union member in Local 433 here, wear your Local 433 T-shirt with the little armadillo on it. Let people know. We still have those available in black if anybody needs those. So, and they're cheap. They're super cheap, and that's on purpose, of course, because we want people to wear them. So yeah, man. Yeah. So you saw their Facebook page, and
Yeah, it's kind of fun, actually. There's Chicago Symphony. Oh, I'm sorry, Chicago Lyric Opera Orchestra donated $2,500.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a note, of course, from the Texas AFL-CIO describing solidarity
Mm-hmm.
with the musicians, and it's a nice little web page. So,
Yeah, and there's a lot of that coming in from all over the world, because that is that is an international orchestra in San Antonio. You wouldn't know it from how they're being treated right now, but
Yeah.
that is that's one of the great orchestras of the world. And those players they can play. I'll tell you what, they are outstanding.
Yeah, well, let's hope they get a chance to play again.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, on the Facebook page, though, unfortunately, the latest news is really bad. Unfortunately,
I just read that, yeah, about canceling their health insurance and benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, geez, during a pandemic, we're still in a pandemic here. Yeah, just really, really bad behavior.
Yeah.
That's not going to reflect well in the press, for the management at all. It's just.
Well, they're definitely asking for a lot of condemnation from the community, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope they get it, because their behavior is ridiculous and way, way out of line.
Yeah. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of thinking going into it at that level yet. So that's what we need to change.
Yeah.
Just the mindset and the power dynamic between employees and employers in general. We've got to change it. We've got to restore it back to where it needs to be. So, yeah, absolutely. So, anyway, musicians of the San Antonio Symphony, and this evening, 6:30, right across from the Tobin Center. It's going to be downtown, but it's going to be a good time for sure. I think there is going to be some music performance happening down there. And speeches. There's going to be several honorary what do you call that, honored guests that are going to be speaking, including some of the representatives locally and nationally, because it's a pretty easy cause to get behind. I mean, it's an orchestra that's a public benefit to all the citizens of San Antonio. And Texas, really. I mean, people drive down from Austin all the time. It's really easy to get there,
Yeah.
To San Antonio. We have the benefit of being very close, and that orchestra is a public benefit for us too. So, yeah. All right. Well, the other thing, I haven't even pulled up the links yet, but the other thing we talked about last week was of course, the election. That is mainly proposals. Today is the last day to early vote, and then election day is on Tuesday, November 2nd, coming right up. So if you don't early vote today, it will be too late. But you can still vote on election day, and there are more. I believe that's right. There are much more polling places on election day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's one right down the street from me that I can walk to on election day. But for early voting, there are less locations, but you have more time to do it. I think the last last 2 weeks or 10 days or something, it's been open.
Yeah.
It was definitely open last week when we had the show, and yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So But I thought we could talk about the two voting guides that we mentioned last week. I'm going to pull them up right now, from the Austin Chronicle and then also from the Austin American Statesman. Not that those newspapers are really similar in any way, other than they're both in Austin. But yeah, they're I guess they're not really voting guides this time around. They're just the endorsements, right? But they're exactly the same as far as the local proposals, right? Proposal A and B, they're exactly the same. But the state recommendations are different in those two newspapers, and it's kind of interesting to kind of look at those. But let's talk about the city proposals first, because those are kind of the most contentious, right? So, I mean, Prop A, we've been talking about that for a while, right? What do you hear about Prop A?
Well, I mean, in my neighborhood, everybody is against it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think a lot of people are just really not happy about putting that kind of money into sort of a drain hole of police department hiring. So,
yeah, I think that's kind of been the consensus for most of the groups. I mean, for all of the labor groups in Austin oppose it. Even the police chief seems to oppose, Prop A.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, right.
you know, it's just kind of a kind of a kitchen sink approach to solving this problem, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it would be very, very surprising if it passed,
Mm-hmm.
given how much negative information I've seen in the last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess that it's a bit encouraging. I mean, it's only on the ballot because of the what's it called, the Save Austin Now Political Action Committee.
Yeah.
They're fundraising and
No, Save Austin Now.
Save Austin Now. Yeah, they're fundraising and the fundraising then paid for all the workers that they did or that they hired to then petition and get people to sign these petitions. And those sessions have been filmed, where it was, sort of documented that the people gathering the signatures actually didn't even really understand what they were for, what the signatures were for, what the petition was for, and the issues surrounding it. So, and the opposition to the proposal is there's another political action committee called what's it called? No Way on Prop A, or No Way Prop A. Yeah. And they've been, it's good that they've been able to raise money to oppose this, but it's like, that all that money could also have been better spent somewhere, actually on other issues. There's just so much money wrapped up in this that it's kind of unfortunate, but what can you do? At least there's an opposition, right? And another viewpoint. So and then what about Prop B? What is Prop? I mean, everybody's pretty much opposed to Prop A, but I think there's more support for Prop B.
Yeah, I mean, Prop B sounds like a pretty good deal, at least the way it's described. It's basically a land swap, as I understand it.
Yeah.
Swapping land that was designated as public parkland but has never been used that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's even open to the public, and so they're talking about swapping that out with, I believe it's 42 acres of other land.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of makes some sense to do that.
Yeah, and it's like what the actual deal is not even really actually known yet. That's just kind of the summary of it. I think the proposition allows them to go ahead and negotiate the deal.
Right, to negotiate the trade. Right.
Yeah, so we don't know what the actual deal is, but it is, they're getting a plot of land they can actually use for parks that's much bigger. So it seems like, a pretty obvious thing. So, Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of discussion on it, so I thought we should just mention it at least. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think everybody's in favor of it. So yeah. But what about these state constitutional amendments? There's 8 of these now as a result of our, special sessions that we've had in our state legislature, and not a ton of discussion about them. I don't know. I've heard people talking about them because they're confused especially about Prop 1 and Proposition A. They're like kind of getting the two confused. But what about you? Have you heard anybody talking about the state?
I've heard very little talk and conversation about it, actually. I'm not sure that I mean, I know I noticed earlier in the week that both the Chronicle and the Statesman say they're for Proposition 1, but I'm not a big gambling guy, and I'm sort of disgusted by how much gambling has kind of crept into lots and lots of stuff that we do, like watching sports on TV or there's just a constant stream of gambling related ads, and I'm not too happy with all of that. So I guess I would vote against Proposition 1 for that reason.
Right. So this is the one that what it would it allows professional rodeos to hold raffles benefiting scholarship programs or other charities.
Yeah.
So a raffle is gambling, and and I think you're right, especially the sports gambling thing is starting to become much more standardized again. And there's money to be made in that business, but I think the money is made off of people who are addicted to gambling, right? And it's like,
right.
It's kind of like, a little bit squidgy there, but yeah. But the Statesman and the Chronicle at least agree on that one. I think just on the basis of it's for charities, but I think the issue that you bring up is definitely valid and would vary from person to person. But yeah, so. But let's get on to the differences here. So Proposition 2, they both agree on that one. They're both for it. What do you know anything about Proposition 2?
Very little.
I've seen a little bit about it. I think it has to do with infrastructure for counties in Texas, and it gives it gives a little more flexibility to counties. What is it like? They can do fundraising for infrastructure projects using a portion of the property tax revenue as nearby properties increase in value. So I'm not sure if that means that they can leverage that property tax increase into the future or something. I'm not exactly sure how that would work, and I don't know if we have the specifics there, but yeah, most of the things I've seen on this are positive. I think just on the basis that it's for infrastructure, and that's kind of the national conversation now too. Is that our infrastructure has been languishing for quite some time, and we've got bridges falling down all over the country and things like that.
All right, roads messed up, and
and that's relevant for us because we travel for our work all the time, and most of the time we're driving for dollars, right? So, yeah. So, let's go on to Proposition 3. And is this no? Oh, they're again. They're
both against.
They're both against on this one. Yeah. This is exempting houses of worship from any public safety measures, including occupancy limits or temporary closures. That doesn't seem like a great idea, right?
Yeah.
That
seems to be something to be against.
Yeah, in the times we're living in, I'm all for religious freedom, but that's not really what the issue is, right? All right. Then the next one is Prop 4, and now we finally have some disagreement.
Yeah, right.
What is it? The Chronicle's against, and the Statesman is for. And these are the editorial boards, of course. It's not the entire paper. It's certainly not the subscribership. the Statesman. It's just the editorial board. But yeah. So what's the deal with this one? It makes sensible improvements to the minimum qualifications for people running for certain judicial seats requiring more years of Texas legal experience and no recent disciplinary actions. But Texas really needs to address the larger problems with picking judges at the ballot box, and that's from the Statesman. Yeah, and then they're for it, and then the Chronicle is against it, and I think to summarize what they're saying, I think they're saying it's really part of a larger effort to make it more difficult to elect judges or to have new judges in the state of Texas, so they're against it on that basis. What you hearing anything about that? Any discussion?
No, but I mean, it seems like, passing it would be a good way to limit younger applicants or younger aspiring judges or maybe more progressive ones, because they may not have all the qualifications. I mean, it seems like they're changing the bar, the standards for qualification now, and they never did before. And, now it just seems like they're doing that to limit the pool.
Right. Now that younger and more progressive judges are being chosen.
Yeah.
Now it's like they're trying to clamp down on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what the Chronicle is saying on this one and the next one, Prop 5, and this is about complaints about judicial campaign violations, and it's only about the complaints though, so it's almost like they're getting ready to complain a lot about judicial elections.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so same thing. The Statesman is for it because they think, that's sensible to make it harder to be a judge. But the Chronicle is against it because they're saying that it's part of a larger effort to disallow younger and more progressive judges being elected. So interesting, and that's what I'm talking about. The interesting is interesting. Where they disagree. Yeah. All right, we're almost done. Proposition 6, they both agree. They're for Proposition 6. And that's the one about the nursing home residents, right? That it changes the law so that they can designate someone that can always go see them no matter what COVID restrictions might go into place. That seems reasonable,
Yep.
Yeah. I wasn't in that position, but some very dear friends of mine were, and could go see them.
Me too, where people had to go and stand outside the window of, their mother's nursing home room. I mean, that's great. That's crazy.
Yeah, man, what a year, man. What a 2 years. What a couple of years. Oh man. All right, going on to 7 and 8. Same. They're opposite on this one. The Statesman is for, and the Chronicle's against. So that's interesting. These are about tax exemptions, specifically for veterans, and it's like I get what the Statesman's saying. It's like, well, how can you oppose a tax exemption for the families of veterans, and that always seems like a good idea. But the opposition in the Chronicle there seems to oppose it more on principle, right? That this is not really a thing because these are updates to the Texas Constitution. So, like, is this really appropriate to be in the Constitution, or should it just be part of the tax code and be done a different way? I think that's what the opposition to it is, not the actual exemption, or certainly not to the heroes and the veterans. So yeah, and it is kind of odd that we have like 8 constitutional amendments that are on the ballot here after these crazy special sessions. We had 3 special sessions, of our state legislature, and of course none of these propositions have anything to do with the power grid or the health system. There's really only one that has to do with infrastructure, And yeah, it's kind of disappointing, I guess. But
Yeah.
I can kind of see both sides. I mean, I kind of don't want to vote against the veterans, but I can see the argument with the Chronicle.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's
It
really
seems like there should be a better way to do that.
yeah. Yeah, and I think the Chronicle called this like virtue signaling by the legislature.
Yeah, right.
They want to show people that they're talking about things that are moral and just. But yeah, is this really the place for that?
Right.
Yeah. So that's something. Yeah, I think we're all going to have to think about. But yeah. But anyway, I'll put the links to those two lists of endorsements in the show notes down at the bottom, and you can decide for yourself. And if you come up with find another list of endorsements or voting guide. I know I think it's there's a women's voters group that usually has a good voting guide as well. So let us know. And yeah, man. I don't know about you, brother, but man, work has been roaring back this month, and I'm exhausted, but I'm very happy. I'm very happy to be working.
Yeah, that's a nice fatigue to have. Finally, getting back to work a little bit. So.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems to be continuing into November, although my November is definitely not as booked up as my October was. I don't know about you, but I'm hoping it'll get there.
Yeah, I've got 6 or 8 gigs booked in November already, so that's okay.
Yeah. And of course, there's not usually that much the week of Thanksgiving, but
Right.
You never know. Yeah. So cool. All right. Was there anything else we should cover before we sign off, brother?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think we're good for this week. Let's move on and hope that good luck to the San Antonio people.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And those T-shirts we mentioned are always available on the Union website, afm433.com, and they're cheap. We keep them cheap, and yeah, man. So if you go down, wear your T-shirt, and bring an instrument if you want. If you got one that's weatherproof, of course. Don't put your instrument at risk, but get ready to make some noise. And I think there's going to be more opportunities for that in the future. Unfortunately, it seems like that may be a prolonged thing. But a worthy cause. That symphony is so great. So yeah.
Yeah, and if you can afford it, donate a little bit of something. $10, $15, $20, whatever.
Every little bit helps.
It really helps them to survive this debacle down there. So.
Yes. Yeah. It really does. Yeah. I mean, you imagine losing all that work. It's just devastating for a musician. Because they're really they're guaranteed a full season of work, and wow. As freelancers, it's hard for us to imagine, but yeah, God bless them. So, all right. Well, if you, the viewer, are in the music industry, don't give up. We can get through this, and we are getting through this by sharing information in solidarity and working together. Join the union, use a contract, and we can change the power dynamic and change the world. And we're getting there. Yeah. So, all right, Mr. Margow, we'll see you next week. And all
right,
solidarity.
Thank you. Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.